6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, where Lazarus lived, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. Here a dinner was given in Jesus' honor. Martha served, while Lazarus was among those reclining at the table with him. Then Mary took about a pint of pure nard, an expensive perfume. She poured it on Jesus' feet and wiped his feet with her hair, and the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, who was later to betray him, objected, "Why wasn't this perfume sold and the money given to the poor? It was worth a year's wages." He did not say this because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. As keeper of the money bag, he used to help himself to what was put into it. "Leave her alone," Jesus replied. "It was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me." Meanwhile, a large crowd of Jews found out that Jesus was there and came not only because of him, but also to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. So the chief priests made plans to kill Lazarus as well, for on account of him, many of the Jews were going over to Jesus and believing in him.
Finally, Jesus set off towards Jerusalem. 6 days before the Passover, he arrived in Bethany, the very place where he had previously raised Lazarus from the dead. There, a dinner was prepared for him. Martha assisted with the meal, while Lazarus, along with other invited guests, reclined at the table with Jesus. Mary took about 1/4 kilogram of very costly nard oil and anointed Jesus' feet with it. Then she wiped his feet with her hair. The fragrance of the oil filled the entire house. At this point, Judas Iscariot, one of the disciples who was about to betray him, said, "Would it not have been better to sell this expensive oil?" Its value was indeed immense, far exceeding the annual earnings of a farm worker. We missed a great opportunity to acquire a significant amount of money, which could have supported the poor. Saying this, however, he didn't have the poor in mind. He was a thief, and managing the finances belonging to Jesus and the 12, he was always pilfering something. Jesus responded by saying, "Leave her alone. She has kept this oil for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me." The news of Jesus' arrival spread rapidly among the inhabitants of Judea. Many of them immediately rushed to Bethany, not only because of Jesus, but also to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. Meanwhile, the chief priests decided that they would also kill Lazarus, because many Jews were putting their faith in Jesus because of him. Welcome to a place where hope clashes with reality, heaven meets earth, and love permeates everyday life. Let's reflect today on a story that occurred in Bethany, just 6 days before the Passover. It's a tale of sacrifice, love, and generosity of heart that collides with a practical and thrifty approach to life, both then and now. Mary, in an act of boundless adoration, anointed Jesus' feet with precious nard oil, and Judas Iscariot, seeing this as wasteful, wondered whether it would have been better to sell the oil and give the money to the poor, or embezzle it for himself. However, Jesus intervened, saying, "Leave her alone. She has kept this oil for the day of my burial." At first glance, we might think that Jesus here opts for love and adoration over practical action for the poor. But is that really the case? Do these two approaches to life exclude each other? Let's examine another passage of Scripture, this time from the second letter of St. James, which says, "Faith without works is dead." So, did Mary act wrongly by focusing on an act of adoration? Absolutely not. Jesus does not dissuade care for the poor because, after all, he taught repeatedly the necessity of caring for the least among us. However, in this specific situation, he emphasizes the value of Mary's selfless love and generosity of heart, which transcends all material calculations. In today's times, numerous philosophies encourage us to think of ourselves first. The story of Mary reminds us that there are immeasurable values such as love, sacrifice, and generosity of heart. And this is the foundation of truly human life. Let's also remember the words from the 6th chapter of the Gospel according to St. Matthew. "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." So, where is our treasure? Is it in stuffing our wallets, or perhaps in a generous heart, ready for sacrifice and love? Let today's Gospel be a reminder to us that although care for the poor and needy is essential, it is equally important that our heart is open to unconditional love. Let it be an encouragement to build a treasure that does not perish, a treasure whose essence is love, sacrifice, and generosity of heart. May our lives be full of generous gestures, which, although they may seem foolish in the eyes of the world, are true treasures in the eyes of God. Bless us, Lord, in our pursuit of balance between having and being.